Oh, the scars have a heavy.
Have time to use that mortar.
Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikon here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Anthem. This is the new IP that was announced by Bioware during this year's E3. We are currently winding down from all the major reveals that happened at the show. I already did a video talking about all the things that I'm most excited for that were announced in this year's E3. And one of those things is most definitely Anthem. Now, Anthem is a shared world RPG. That is at least one of the descriptions that's flying around. A lot of people are comparing it to Destiny because it does seem like it's going that way. And even the gameplay reveal was kind of similar to the gameplay reveal of Destiny. You have two players exploring the open world, and then later down the line, after they do a little bit of gameplay, two other players join them. They form up a squad, and then they are seen headed into this storm, which seems to be some kind of special dynamic event, and they're all just going there to tackle that particular event. And that is reminiscent of Destiny, but I do feel there's going to be a lot of differences between this game and Destiny. One of the first differences is obvious. I mean, you just look at the gameplay and you can tell this is third-person shooter as opposed to first-person shooter, which I think one of the main reasons they did that is because of how you can fly through the world, and I think that mobility and being able to position yourself during battle is going to be a key aspect of combat when it comes to this particular title. So that to me is a very good thing. You guys know I prefer just third-person action games. I tend to gravitate more towards them. I don't even know exactly why. The game is going to have an open world that you will be able to explore. We've even seen the character gain some exploration points as he goes underwater and starts swimming and stuff. And again, that seems to bring a lot of emphasis to exploring the world. Which again is another difference from what we've seen in Destiny, because obviously Destiny had like the segregated areas, and I don't really feel like you were that rewarded for exploration, if I remember correctly. Most of the stuff, like, you would be rewarded for completing missions and doing stuff like that, but like exploration just for exploration, that wasn't really a big focus on Destiny, I want to say. Which I'm happy, because you guys know me. I love getting lost and exploring stuff. Like I said, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I spent God knows how long just running through the world and avoiding monsters and just exploring and being, amazed by all of the things that were out in the world. So that is apparently going to be a big aspect of this game, which is good in my book. There's going to be some kind of dynamic events that are going to be happening, it seems. We see one of those events as the players take on a bunch of dudes who are like the scraps, or no, the scars, the scars, which I'm assuming is going to be some kind of a faction, because there seem to be some humanoids there, along with maybe some mutants or something. There were definitely people in exosuits as well. Speaking of exosuits, let's talk a little bit about the background that this game is set in. There seems to have been some kind of post-apocalyptic event, because you can clearly see the whole nature reclaiming the earth aspect to it. You can see a lot of like tech and stuff that was man-made, and it's just like got like tree roots and moss all over it. So that's the kind of stuff that kind of hints at a post-apocalyptic setting. At least in my opinion, that's what I immediately see. We have a giant wall which kind of separates humanity's last bastion of hope or something like that from the rest of the world, and it seems that civilization pretty much hides behind that big wall. And then there are people who are brave enough to enter the outside world. Those people are called freelancers, and the player character is going to be one of those freelancers, and you will be able to explore the world. But basically the whole point is you are one of the few people who is brave enough to go out into the world and figure out what happened, or we still don't know what exactly the premise of the game is going to be. But it seems that your objective is going to be explore the ruins, figure out what happened, and eventually figure out a way to fight back and retake the world or something. Again, it's all very vague right now, and I've been doing a lot of research, and so far I've come up empty. As of the recording of this video, this is all that we really know about the story. So you're going to be one of those freelancers that is going to go outside and carry out missions for the good of humanity. And you're going to be doing so by using these exosuits called javelins. Now, this is something I really, really enjoyed because, for starters, your exosuits can fly, which is really cool. Being able, it's flight in games is something that it's not always done right, but it always does feel like a really convenient way to both explore and travel throughout a world. Anyone who's spent a considerable amount of time in games like, say, World of Warcraft, and I know I'm bringing up an MMO, but it's like if you spend a considerable amount of time using your mount in the ground and then eventually when Outland hit, you're able to fly, you know that it's like, man, being able to fly is just kind of a big deal, particularly when you're exploring a massive world. So we'll see how they balance that stuff out, because you also don't want players to just be able to, oh, I'm just going to fly through everything, avoid all the danger, and, so we'll see how that is going to be a thing. But that is pretty cool. The visuals that we've seen so far for the game look amazing. The animations, the sounds, everything so far looks really good. The exosuits, or I will be referring to them as javelins moving forward. The javelins are extremely customizable. During the gameplay demo that we've seen, we saw two in particular being featured. One of those suits, which is the one worn by the main character, is a ranger javelin, which is essentially an all-rounder type of exosuit that allows you to, kind of be a jack of all trades, be mobile, be able to dish out some punishment and all that stuff. Then we saw the Colossus, which obviously I'm assuming is going to be tankier. It is going to be featuring heavier weaponry, but clearly is not going to have the same kind of mobility that you have with the Ranger suit, making, allowing you to kind of assign different roles to different players depending on which exosuit they have equipped. Now, it seems the way that Bioware is describing this, there's going to be a wide variety of exosuits. I believe the words literally used were an arsenal of exosuits. So I'm assuming you'll be able to collect several types of exosuits, and on top of that, each exosuit is highly customizable, so you'll be able to equip. I'm assuming there'll be limitations, like probably the Colossus exosuit will be able to equip heavier weaponry, but at the same time, you might be able to customize a Colossus to equip a little bit lighter weaponry and maybe make it a little bit more mobile while still retaining some of its tankiness, that kind of stuff, or maybe make the Ranger a little bit heavier and, fully customize the stuff. At least they're saying that is going to be a thing. Now, they're saying there's going to be a crafting system. You're going to be able to craft components to personalize your own exosuit, and there is definitely a loot system. We see throughout the gameplay that the characters engage those scars that I mentioned earlier. Once that encounter is over, the character is able to pick up some kind of a reward off the ground. Now, the interesting thing there is that it seems that the rewards that you get are not necessarily linked to the types of enemies that you are fighting, because the character picks up the thing off the ground, and the player who is playing that character, because they were doing that whole player simulated communications thing that everybody likes to do nowadays, that character says, "Oh, please be something good, please be something good." So we're assuming that the loot is going to be random, and obviously for the purpose of that demonstration, that character got something really good. She got a legendary weapon. We also saw a level on the weapon, which a lot of people are hypothesizing that it means that weapons level up. Personally, that level, to me, what I think that is going to be a level requirement for you to equip that weapon. So I'm assuming the character would have to be level 35 to equip the weapon that she picked up, which was Jar's Wrath. And it also tells you that the weapons are going to have fancy names, and legendary items most likely are going to have similar stats. So if you pick up a Jar's Wrath, it is going to be similar to the Jar's Wrath that someone else picked up before. At least that seems to be the case. But it does seem like this kind of loot is going to be something that is going to be keeping players coming back, and maybe do something like repeating certain runs and stuff like that, which is kind of something I feel that Bioware hasn't really done that much. Having that kind of repetitive loop. Of course, we can talk about SWTOR, which is the MMO that they've done, and there's plenty of repetition there and plenty of loot game there, and I'm assuming they've gotten quite of their loot, so to speak, experience from that game. Then again, all of Bioware games have had loot. What am I talking about? What I'm saying is like that loop repetition of like, go here, do this, repeat, etc. we will see how those things fit into the Bioware storytelling and how they're able to like connect those two, right? Because we don't want to have another repeat of that we had with Destiny, which a lot of players wanted more story, and it seems like, oh, you got to get the story through the Grimoire and the website, and Bioware does not want to do that. As a matter of fact, Bioware kind of needs to redeem itself for what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda. So hopefully they're really putting some time into this, and it shows from what we've seen so far. At least the facial animations in the gameplay trailer that we've seen at E3 were clearly better than anything that we've seen throughout the entirety of Mass Effect Andromeda. So I have some hope there, I guess. But we'll see how that pans out. Now, let me see what else I need to talk about. So we talked about the crafting system. We talked about the looting system. I talked about the dynamic events. So it seems that you will have these shaper storms that will happen every now and then throughout the world, which those are going to probably give you specific rewards. I almost think that those are going to be kind of like instances in regular MMOs, you know, where you go to an instance and you do the event and thing. But, you know, instances in the concept of Bioware storytelling is something that we don't know how that's going to mesh. Because, like, what happens if I go ahead and repeat that thing? Is it going to be, you know, the same story? Am I going to get the same cinematics? Because, you know, I don't know. It's just these kind of things put together with Bioware storytelling. It's something we haven't seen yet that much. And it's something that I'm very curious to check out. We will see if they're able to pull it off or not. Now, a really cool thing, if you start thinking about this, is that we've mentioned this being a game that is a live service. So you're going to constantly be getting updates and content updates. Now, imagine receiving, you know, tailor-made Bioware story beats, you know, at a reasonably regular pace. You know, like, say, for instance, you finish the main story. Who knows? Maybe it will be, again, this is completely speculation. Maybe it will be 10 hours. Maybe it will be 30. I mean, usually Bioware games tend to go on the upper side there. So let's assume main story beats about 30 hours, right? You finish that. And then let's say 3 months from now, you get a Bioware quality story added in, like an episode. It's like, oh, now this threat has shown up and this thing has happened. Like, I think that would be cool. Of course, this all depends on what kind of a payment model this game's going to have, because, you know, they can't very well just keep adding stuff on top and keeping the game free, because I'm not sure if that's going to be, you know, a viable model for them. But like, the possibilities, if they are able to implement this properly, the possibilities are actually pretty good. Like, you look, for instance, there's a lot of criticism that I have to do, that I have to say about SWTOR, because I played SWTOR for quite some time. And a lot of the criticism that I would put on SWTOR, because of what they did with their free-to-play model and all this stuff, and what some of the quests were just like, kill 50 things, and, you know, those kind of things were boring. But one of the things that I can't really complain were the main stories. Like, I played as a smuggler, and the story of the smuggler, to me, was amazing. I loved it all the way. I think I actually finished the game as a smuggler, and I've enjoyed the story throughout. It was very satisfying to play. So Bioware has shown that they can have those stories and do them in a multiplayer setting, because you can essentially watch the main story of another player in SWTOR, which I'm assuming might be something that they do here, because, like, they say that the choices you make throughout the story are going to shape the world around you. So how does that work if a friend of mine joins in? So he joins into my world, so he's just there for, like, loot and stuff. He doesn't actually progress his storyline. You know, those are the kind of questions that are left with me. And it's like, it'd be cool if, say, for instance, a friend of mine joins me, and I'm doing my story. And it's like, I'm taking the game in a different direction that he is. The advantage there is that he can watch as my storyline progresses, and then I can join his, and I can watch how his storyline progresses. You know, that to me seems like something that is very appealing. Of course, that also means that you have to do something a la Dark Souls, which is like, you know how in Dark Souls, after you kill a boss, if you're playing in co-op, you have to kill that same boss for every single player. It would kind of have to be something similar like that. So after you do a chunk of story for player one, you would have to do that chunk of story for your other friends. So I don't know how they're going to adapt that, but I'm still pretty excited at the prospect. The gameplay looks solid. Another thing that we've seen in the gameplay video, I guess I can talk about, is we've seen the abilities that characters have. So you have like a left trigger ability, or not trigger, a left shoulder bumper ability, or L1. Same thing for right side, R1 or right bumper. And you have one ability where you press both buttons, which we're assuming is going to be like a special ability that you might have to charge, but we could be wrong. But it almost looked like from the icons that we see in the UI of the gameplay, it's like left ability, kind of like grenades in Destiny, right ability, kind of like melee strike in Destiny, and then two buttons ability, kind of like the super in Destiny. Which, maybe I'm drawing too many parallels there. But either way, that seemed to be the way that would work out. We saw two of those things being fired, which was the missile barrage from the Ranger, which was really cool to see, and then the mortar shot from the Colossus, which was also pretty sweet. But it seems that during the dialogue, in the leading up of the thing, it's like one of the characters is talking about how he purchased a mortar last week, and then he uses that mortar shot. So the customization that you have on your exosuits, the weapons that you equip, are going to be the abilities that you have available for you as you play through the game, and that is pretty cool. At least that's the way it seems, because again, that is going to open things up to you having your own loadout for your exosuit, and that is going to dramatically impact your ability to deal damage and maybe your ability to perform different roles within your team, which again, to me, sounds super satisfying and super fun. So I can't wait to learn more about Anthem, but I'm really curious what you guys thought about it. Tell me all of your theories. Let me know how you guys felt about that game. And please don't be super negative because of Mass Effect Andromeda, because this game's looking better. I mean, we could be wrong. Maybe the game won't be that great. We don't know. But let's talk about it. So let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.